Good morning, everyone. Sorry about the hand in your face, but I had to get the volume up. Welcome and good morning, everybody in the chat. Um, Today's topic is neurodiversity in reptiles, and you guys know we kind of touch on this a lot, especially from my perspective on reptiles. And on other animals, but specifically today we're talking about neurodiversity in reptiles. Why is that still going? Hold on a second. Bear with me. Oh no, it's Drake's phone.
My phone.
Yeah.
What
Your
you mean?
phone in
This
the
volume is
background is it?
down.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Sorry about the hand in your You hear that? And it's delayed. That's the weird thing.
Okay,
So,
no, I just turned it down.
but it's delayed. That was like what, 30 minutes ago?
Was it 30 minutes ago, Nicole?
30 seconds ago. I'm sorry, but it was a long time ago that I said that it now plays. Good morning, Darren. Good morning, Bosa. I know Stan was in here earlier. Good morning, Stan. If you can still hear me, I hope you're having a great day at work. Good morning, Morgan. Morgan to be with us. This is actually topic prompted by Morgan. It's so funny. When she messaged me, she said, "Have y'all ever discussed neurodiversity in reptiles?" I said, "Hold up, wait a minute. Let me Google that. I'll come back to you." I said, "Oh yeah, we talk about this before and quite often." Because as you all know, that I've never been one who believed that reptiles were limited in their processes of thinking, feeling, showing emotions such as depression, showing emotions such as contentment. I don't want to say joy, but contentment, showing affection. And I'm gonna share a story from this weekend, which I thought is really cool. And this is the second time it's happened in the last 30 days. So it's definitely an indication of neurodiversity with reptiles. But I have a couple scenarios that I recently just kind of, one of my showed y'all the snapping of the fingers to see if the reptile is able to recognize what that means as a prompt to come to where you want them to come. That one I can do like consistently and show everybody. But one of the things personally that I have done is shown affection on a whole nother level to my retics that even the baby retics are showing. And not just with me, I'm selling them. They're going away and they're showing them to other people who show them that same type of affection. So I don't know if y'all saw when Devs opened up his two retics that I'm shipped to him. One of them literally came out and do what I do to them every single time. Came out and literally came and kissed him on his mouth. Like he was like, whoa, like, wow. I had sold a retic this weekend. And right there, when I did my whole emotional thing with it and, said my goodbyes and I handed it to the new owner, that snake literally came up and literally right there in front of everybody, gently kissed her right in her lips. And she was like, she fell in love instantly. Oh my God. So these are things that I do with them all the time that I'm starting to see that with this set of babies, because I didn't do that with T'Challa and them. T'Challa and them do it as an adult, but they didn't do it that early as babies. So with T'Challa and them, I thought, they were not babies that I produced. So I had to, I got them about 3 and 4 months old, and I'm really working with them. T'Challa being the first retake, I was literally working with her cautiously because I wanted to make sure that, all the things that they were saying were not, true about a retake. When I realized that, probably it was only about 2 months in, that I realized, okay, this is when and I shared the story when she first came out of her enclosure for herself the first time and went straight into her own bath and came out her own bath and went into her own tub. It was that day that I realized if Animal can do that. I can get them to do almost anything with their brain other than walking, okay? Because they don't have legs. I can get them to do almost anything. And so for me in this house, my reticulated pythons get that type of coaching, attention to detail, and I document a lot. So right now, the cow, we've been talking about it. We have proven that the cow is one of those retics that don't need a whole house, right, to roam in, but she does like to be out her enclosure. And so we allow the cow to be out the enclosure literally, y'all, about 10 hours a day. She's out about 10 hours a day, every single day. I can leave this room. Behind me is a blanket that she pulls down on her herself. So she'll go over into this corner. Oh, she took my towel the other day too. So I want my towel back. But the blanket, she literally boiled up into the corner and she did it about 3 weeks ago. And we thought it was just, okay, coincidence. No. We put her in this corner. When Michael put her in the corner, as long as this blanket is within her reach, she literally takes this blanket, scoops her head under it just like this, and she falls back so that the blanket falls on her. We're going to try to catch that in real time for y'all because it's amazing. So today when we bring her out, what I told Michael is to make sure that we like what you call it, coordinate it together. So where he comes and bring her in, I'll make sure that the towel is right there. And then I'll make sure I have the camera in my hand too to record. Because typically when I'm in here, when Michael bring her in here, I'm already on the phone or the room where I do all of my makeup. I don't know how that happened or what happened. Maybe Morgan is coming in. I don't know. That just did it on its own. I didn't touch anything. I promise. So yeah. So that's one of the things we've learned with the cow. With T'Challa, like I said, we learned a long time ago that she will follow Michael anywhere. Y'all see me doing that with Hefe. So if you go and you see me doing the walking the dog thing on YouTube or IG, that's literally the snake walking crawling as I'm stepping by him, crawling right by my feet. All of these things are proof of neurodivergency. And these are things are done consistently. So I think a lot of times as reptile owners, we see these things. We see them even in ball pythons. The intelligence in ball pythons, now that I'm paying attention, is there. I just never, as a keeper, expected to be there, and I'm not talking about minimal intelligence. We talk about Busy does not like other snakes by his enclosure. If he's in his hives and he sends another snake by his enclosure, he's come out. So we have come to, and this is something that Slim, who is not even a reptile person, finds amazing because he gets to see and experience these things from even a like kind of outside looking in, like, damn, like that is just crazy that animal does that. So the topic broadens where I think that I'm starting to see more reptile keepers work with the neural intelligence of their reptiles. And with doing that, we are getting more people who are aware of the neurodivergency of reptiles, which when it came to the retics day one, I pretty much knew that something was different. But 2 months in, it was beyond just the limited thinking that I thought that they were having. So that's what that point in when I came in and I started working with them that way. Started working with the babies that way. The fact that even as babies, I could teach them, okay, this is a rat in my hand. This is you. Don't touch this rat until I put you here. That stuff is evidence of neurodivergency because before, remember, they're opportunistic eaters. We thought that anytime you put food near them, they're going to lunge out at it. They're going to, and if you don't, I will say this. I'll use the purple sunfire that I had for example. The purple sunfire has not reached the level of neurodivergency that even the babies that I'm raising up have reached. And I think, again, when she came from a breeder who doesn't, I say, trigger the neurodivergencies of them at an early age, or I don't think he gets the opportunity to handle them that much even as they grow up. I think his module is more of producing them, selling them type of thing. Anything that came from Kevin, anything came from Jim Jolly are very neurodivergent. Very neurodivergent, especially like I said, the cow, because particularly the fact that she knows she wants coverage in this room, or knows how to create a hide in this room to chill, make herself comfortable, whatever she's doing, is absolutely phenomenal. If you look up on YouTube right now, this is a big topic that a lot of people are discussing. If you're on just Googling neurodivergency, you'll start in reptiles, you're starting to see more recent articles about it. I even seen, so I'm going to pull up that, let me go to this, the definition as of December 2023. While the concept of neurodivergence is primarily applied to humans, some animals may exhibit variations in behavior or neurological function that deviate from typical patterns within their species. So one thing that I can say that everybody in the chat probably experienced themselves is, good morning, Dawn D. Let me see. Good morning, Elias. I seen you came into, says, good morning, Kara Shay. Since we look, good morning, Bill. Just want to make sure I didn't miss anybody else. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning, Darren. Yeah, okay. So one of the things that most of you guys probably have already experienced when it comes to neurodivergency in your animals, and you probably witness it quite often, especially with like boas, I would say with boa constrictors, with the larger constrictors, but even with ball pythons. But we don't credit it as neurodivergency. The fact that most ball pythons, when you come over to their enclosures, and I'm talking about even like baby ball pythons, and you come at a certain time of night, their food response is a little bit more heightened than it normally would be in ball. And I'm using very specifically ball pythons because this is an animal that typically people don't seem to think has a food response, but they do. But it's normally more striking at night, and that is a sign that typically that is when they're fed. Like normally they know when they're fed, and you can switch that neurodivergency. So I'll use my boas for example. My boas are highly food driven animals, but because of that, I almost never feed them at night. I normally feed them at a day when they know a little bit more less food driven. So I noticed that if I go to feed my boas at night now, they're less food driven than they would be at night because I feed them now during the day, and they know that. And so that is another sign of neurodivergency. We have trained them, taught their brains to think they're eating at a different time of day. That's minimal to most reptile keepers, but from a scientific standpoint, that's still big things working with an animal's brain to be able to switch its pattern of eating or food drive. But we don't give reptiles credit for any of that. For a reptile to another one that everybody experienced, even with ball pythons, when you have that ball python who always like to be like around your neck or on your arm or whatever, and you go to put that ball python back, that ball python will find a way to resist going back. That's neurodivergency, but we ignore it. We ignore the fact. We think that that's just the snake trying to hold on to something. No, when that snake double back and comes back, hey Pat, and it's literally coming back towards you and is holding on to something to keep from going in, it knows exactly what it's doing. We just don't know how to accept the fact that it knows exactly what it's doing. And then the last thing I want to go on, and Dre, you can put your input in, is that we often talk about the reptile in the wild comparison to the reptile in captivity. And we talk about how animals in the wild are way more defensive. So I chalk it up to this. Those animals in the wild has not been to any type of school. They haven't had any type of training on captive living. They haven't had any type of training on cohabitating with humans. They didn't. But the animals that we keep did. So if we took those animals for the wild, and I'll use Big Meech for an example. Big Meech, as a wild caught animal, never showed wild caught tendencies. He came in a very tamed down animal. But I always believe it's because Big Meech was taken literally from his mom, and she literally still had, like, the eggs were still there. He was a baby raised by a human to save his life from the Everglades. So I think that because he was introduced to humans very early, when I got him at 2 months old, he was already desensitized and already neurodivergent in a way of captain living, because that's all he pretty much knew at that particular time. If we had gotten Big Meech at 1 year old out of the wild, I don't think that his ability to adjust to the captive bred neurodivergency or ability to think as a captive animal would have been so easy of a transition. But again, we just look at that as, oh, we got a chill Berm from the wild. We don't look at it as, how did he learn to become that chill? We don't look at it like, what in the wild did, like, certain areas in the wild, people still have a lot of humans coming through, right? So that particular wild caught animal may not be as defensive because it is using its brain to say, okay, this is a entity that I can't say that it's saying that it's a human, but this is an entity that we cohabitate with in the wild. So therefore, in the captivity, this is the same thing. And so I have no reason to show any signs of defensiveness. That is neural diversity in reptiles. But where I'm at right now today is, as a keeper, I spend most of my time doing that, working with the working, doing all the things that they say that an animal couldn't do or wouldn't do. Our reptiles couldn't do or wouldn't do. And as a household, we are years beyond other people with dealing with neurodivergency, because I never, ever limited their ability. Ever. Ball pythons, yes. But when I got the retics, I never limited their ability. Berms, I never limited their mental ability. They show it. They show it in their eyes. You know, they show their ability to think all the time. Why we don't believe it, I don't know. Dre, go ahead before. I'm gonna go ahead through the chat. You can chime in. It's my boy stream to know the home. D-bot bucket and left door opening. Got up. Dre, we can't hear you.
Nah, I said I don't think you left anything for me to say. I think you kind of cleared the table on that one.
All right. Elias said, my boy is trained to know the Home Depot bucket and left door opening. Got that from you, means food is coming. Absolutely. So that's another good point, Elias. That's something that I started with my first set of retics, is that opening the door from one side, from the other, training them that when I come this way, don't be looking for food, okay? Because this is what we're doing. And then when I come this way, look for food. And then we got further, right? Elias Cazdale, with the three big ones, T'Challa, Mystical, and Hefe, they are non-reactive to the food. Even if I'm holding the rabbit right there, they wait until I clear. If you are a member of my channel, there's a video on my channel that shows that. Elias would have been one who have seen that, where literally the rabbit is still sitting there. You'll still see them looking at me like she's still in the way, even though I'm not in the way. I'm near those enclosures. But the moment I walk away from those enclosures, they then go in to grab that food. That's neurodivergency. But we don't give them credit for that ability to say, okay, let me make sure that she's out of harm's way. Or we'll say that, oh, they don't want to eat right now. No, because as soon as I leave the room, the camera shows you that right now they eat. Why do we think anything differently? Why, up until the time I left the room, why can I hold this in front of this 16-foot this rabbit in front of this 16-foot snake, and this snake is not jumping out the enclosure like you see some, because we've worked with that food response. We've worked with that brain. We taught them to not be so food driven. And I say we taught them, if you don't put this time in, you'll never see it. Okay. But for those of us who do every single day with our animals, we get to see it. And I just say to everybody in the chat, continue to document it, because I think we can get to a whole nother level of reptile keeping, like going back to the enclosure thing. What we've proven with the cow is, yes, she does like spending a lot of time out of her enclosure, but she still don't move around a lot out of her enclosure. So when she comes in this room, she's chilling. But if you put her back in her enclosure earlier, hey Morgan, earlier than she wants to be, she's going to want to come out again. And it's very intentional that she wants to come out. You're going to see her wanting to come out. As soon as you take her out, she's good. She's over there. And it's with her, it's not even about like adjusting the temps and all that kind of stuff. It's nothing about that. She's just like being in the space that we're in. And I think at this particular point, because I spent a lot of times in this room doing my makeup art, she likes the fact that I'm in this room all the time. And I'm pretty much sitting in this chair when she's back there. And so therefore, when she does like occasionally move around or whatever, she might come over here and just kind of crawl over my legs, just kind of to make sure I'm still there, I guess, and then go right back over in that corner. And she will pull that blanket to make sure that she's under it, like it's a whole hide. And it's absolutely insane to us. But again, the conversations that you'll have with people who don't spend this type of time, you can't spend just an hour a day with these animals to pick all this up or to teach them all of this ability to use their brain, right? But for those who get to spend hours, you get to see and benefit from it. I wonder, like now, how many people have changed their perception from over 10 years ago, because you're seeing a lot more of it more socially on IG. And I don't credit this to lizards, because I think everybody always accepted that lizards were highly intelligent, that lizards were had the ability to think beyond the normal capacity of other reptiles. But we never gave enough credit to snakes ever. And I'll say, even myself, I'm starting to give ball pythons more credit than I did before. The retics and berms, like I said, from day one, you could clearly see it. You can see it, that it was evident. And as a keeper, and everybody in the chat, you should play on that intelligence with your animal. Elias said he doesn't even react if the right door opens. And so Elias, so when I first started saying that to people, not you, but I'm just saying people in general didn't believe that was possible. So I started doing the videos on it, right? So now you got to show people. You got to show people everything for them to believe it. And then some people you can show them and you don't believe it. But Elias, I'm glad that you put it in practice, because it's not hard to do. I think that it sounds unreasonable to people when they just don't attempt to do it consistently. But when you do it consistently, I say within a couple months, they pick it up right away. But yeah. Dawn D said, my rainbow boa fights when I try to pull her out of the barrel that she's created. Once she sees that it's me coming to get her, she stops fighting. And that's neurodivergency. You have a good one too, Stan. Imoho said, given we're also members of the animal kingdom, do you think it's possible that snakes also have similar neurotypical, neurodivergent personality traits as well? Absolutely. We talk about that all the time, especially with the retics. All of them have a different personality. So on the flip side of the cow, there is the motley tiger that I tell you all the time, who, if up to her, she never wants to be out her enclosure. I mean, she'll come out, but she's good with, like, she's not like the rest of them. If you open a door, you can open her door and leave that door, and leave that door open all night long, and she will not come out that enclosure on her own. She's good there. She likes it there. She's content there. So where everybody thinks that all retics need a whole room, no. Meet the motley tiger. Meet Moana. Moana just wants this 8x3x3. She don't want no more than it. She don't want no less than it. She loves this 8x3x3. Hefe, could probably use a house. He probably would literally roam an entire house, given a house to live in. He probably would. But that is different extremes. T'Challa, she will roam probably a room and then go back to her enclosure. None of them are the same. None of them. They all have different personalities. They all have different personalities. And when we can accept that exactly what you said, that they have their own personality. So just like some people are homebodies, other people like to go out and party. Some people like to eat a lot. Some people like to eat a little. We see these same things in these animals. I have a mainland retic, the purple sunfire, that if you put next to the mainlands, the other mainlands at the exact same age, the exact same size, she is not as big as them because she's never graduated to rabbits. She's never gotten that size where she can go to rabbits. But her personality also is that she's not a big eater. Like, she might eat a guinea pig once every month, where the rest of them, if you give them a guinea pig, they want it every 2 weeks. She's not a big eater. But that's just her personality. Now, in the summer months, she likes to eat more, so she might pick up on that pace. But the winter months, she's not a big eater at all. So when people come, she's a mainland. She's very much a mainland, even with that. That's why you see the mainlands at different sizes. Every mainland is not going to be 16 foot plus. Just like every dwarf and every super dwarf is not going to be 9 feet and less. So it all depends on that personality trait, which I think that their eating habits is also a part of their evidentiary personality traits as well. So absolutely. Hi, the realist. What's up? Hey, that's my cousin. I had to look at the profile picture. How are you, David? Chris says top of the morning. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, everybody.
Yeah, Morgan, go ahead, chime in.
Popping in here super late. I mean, I've been listening in. Shoot, I was about to say something and I forgot. But you've covered. I mean, you've covered a lot. Shoot, I was just about to say something and it just like skipped.
That's okay. I mean, I just think that the gist of it is that if y'all don't believe the abilities your reptiles have, and you're not paying attention to myself, Morgan, Dre, I think you have limited thought processes on what a snake and a reptile. Well, not what they can do. I'm not going to say that, but how much you want to put into what they can do, right?
Mm-hmm. Not really. I think most of it just has to do with, at least for me,
hey,
the space that I have to work with at the moment. But that's going to change here very soon.
Okay. All right. So yeah. So Hugh said, I have a male cow retic now. Nicole, he's completely opposite temperament of my female, like oil and water. But I mean, and even with that, I don't think it's a male and female thing, because you will hear that some males are calm, some females are more defensive, or you'll hear the opposite. What I've learned is that they just have different personalities. I will say that overall, though, my males in this house are definitely way more chill than my females overall. They're just like very kind of like my son, very let me take care of mommy type of thing. You know, like I said, Hefe helps me carry him. That's why I can carry him, the biggest one, easier than I can carry any of them, because he moves like he'll move with me. If I do this, he'll do that. So but that's just characteristic of him. Hefe is the one that can be clearly in full-blown breeding mode, but he is not at all like what they say the typical males are. In fact, none of my males in breeding mode are not manageable. I can handle all of them. I show you videos of that. Me taking them out the same, Even while they are arching on things. Yes, they might arch on the table and all that type of stuff, but I can still touch them, touch their nose, touch their body. I can bring out the female next to them. They're not defensive to that at all. The only thing that I don't risk is having two males in breeding mode together. And the reason why I don't risk that is because if it goes bad, it's going to go really, really bad. And I can't be the referee in that. So I don't want them killing each other, because I am not breaking up two retics who went straight in combative mode. If y'all think I'm going to get in the middle of that, that's a lie. So I don't try that. I have never tried that. I have never let me say this. Not knowing that both of them were in breeding mode, I have had them out and said, "Oh, Mystical look like he wants to breed," and put Mystical back because he's near Hefe. But I've never said, knowing that Mystical is in breeding mode and knowing that Maui is in breeding mode, put them out with Hefe, because that can be disastrous. And I'm telling you, the teeth that we see in retics are not the real teeth that they have. And the teeth that they bring out when it's time for them to fight are a whole nother set of teeth. And Nicole Tisdale will not be the one in between that. Okay, I'm not even worried about getting constricted at that point. I'm worried about getting ripped apart with teeth. Because I want to help referee two males who want coochie. I ain't doing that. That y'all already know how that goes. People get
Lord
shot and stuff
have
like that.
mercy.
I'm just saying.
She dropped the C word at 8 in the morning.
I ain't trying to take no shots.
Somebody was asking me about that yesterday on live, if I've ever seen any of mine like going at it and fighting. I've never, which I mean, I don't keep mine together anyway. Good morning.
So, I'm wondering if we're covering this topic right. I'm only saying that because while we were talking about it, I'm looking at basically the difference between, going back to John's question, neurotypical versus neurodivergent. Neurotypical basically is being displayed as the characteristic of being normal. Basically, you exhibit normal behavior. Neurodivergent is basically talking about the characteristics of maybe being autistic, or you have type of language impediments and things like that. Well, that's what I'm saying. Go back to his question. He says, since we're in the animal kingdom, do we think snakes also exhibit those same types of behaviors? Me personally, I'm going to say no, only because they have more of a, if they're experiencing issues like that, it's more of a neurological issue. So it's not necessarily something that they lack. Is something that it's a defect, basically. It's something that they were born with. Whereas
okay, so let me
think that's
like
tricky.
Autism, technically a child is just using it. We don't want to compare the animal version of this definition to the human version too much, but to what Dre is saying, technically autism is a birth defect. So
there's other like neurodivergence, like OCD, bipolar, things like that you're not born with. But I'm wondering if we've covered the topic of like the intelligence of the animals and things like that. And then, Nicole, you've said multiple times that your snakes will pick up on the behaviors of other snakes. And one thing I've noticed is not everybody, but a lot of people in the reptile community have some sort of diagnosis, whether it be ADHD, autism, bipolar, borderline, like something. And I'm wondering if, not saying that the snakes are autistic, ADHD or anything, but I'm wondering if they see our behaviors and maybe
up on it. I agree. I definitely
some of those.
They do. We talked about that. We talked about before. Hefe, example, is a big computer person. Well, when I was working from home, that's when he was literally growing up. That's when he was in his first couple years. When I was working from home, and I worked in front of him and T'Challa and Mystical every single day. Hefe, if he sees a laptop, goes right to that laptop screen and kind of lays there on the keyboard like he's watching something. He's a big TV snake. Like if you ever see a snake who just like the TV screen, that's behavior. I do believe they pick up on those behaviors from us. The fact that the big three will always come in the baby room, I think that's because they know that's where I spend a lot of time now, is in the baby room.
Yep.
But I will say that even with OCD, like if in your experience that with retics a lot, retics don't like to be in filth. And I think it will neurologically affect them if you left them in filth. If you ever notice, and I said this before, I can always tell on camera when one of my snakes have used the bathroom, because on camera you'll see them they'll push themselves all to one corner, or they'll push their highs and stuff all to one corner.
You ain't lying. That Tootsie be pissing me off, just moving everything. When she pees, she moves everything, water bowl and everything to one side of the enclosure.
Yeah, and that's I mean, and again, like Dre, so, and that's consistently. So when you document that, we would say, oh, they just moved their stuff. No, she didn't want piss and shit on her food or wherever she's comfortable. They don't like to lay in their pee. So that's something that just like grosses me out. When people just have their animals and, just in the poop or whatever, they don't clean it up right away, because I know it's not something that they like. The smell is horrid for us, and I think it's horrid for them. But to Hugh's point, Hugh said, oh, my girl Jezebel just don't like nobody in her enclosure. Solo is a chill dude, and I can just reach in and move my mail around like lawn furniture. I definitely can get in every retic enclosure here except for the purple sunfire. And I don't even think my thing, it wouldn't be that she would try to do anything with me. My thing would be that it would probably just stress her the hell out. And the Motley Tiger. And that's because I never tried it with the Motley Tiger, because clearly the Motley Tiger loves her enclosure, and she doesn't care for all the human interaction like the other ones do. But Chala, I ain't gonna say that she don't care for it. When you give it to her, she'll take it, but she's good where she's at. We can watch all of this right from here. But Chala, Mystical, Hefe, Pearl, Big Meech, all of them, I can just climb in their enclosures, crawl around in those enclosures, clean while they're in there, and they are non-bothered by it.
Question, Nicole.
Huh?
Have you? So one thing, I only have 2 male retics, but from my experience, they smell worse than the females when they use the bathroom. I don't know what it is. When I open my male enclosures, I'm like, God damn, bro, what are you doing in here?
I can't imagine anything worse than Matilda's poop.
I'm not saying the females aren't bad, but my males just seem to have a little more extra oomph. I don't know what it is.
They all stink to me when they use the bathroom. Like, that's one thing retics have in common. They all stink to me. But it could be, I always say maybe it's the urine, because I would say maybe the urine smells differently, because I think that one has more protein in the urine than others. But the poop, that smells the same. I haven't heard that word in like 20 years. What word, Darren? I'm curious. I believe the animals can be bipolar. Well, retics are bipolar by nature, I think. Like, I think, let me just say moody by nature. And they're very good at articulating their different moods, right?
Coochie.
Oh, Coochie. I still use that word. What is that draws neurodivergent people to the what is it that draw neurodivergent people to the reptile hobby? Oh, I think it's in order to understand a reptile, you have to be intellectually like there with them. And I think that like for most people who are neurodivergent, especially autism, intellectually delayed, like my son is intellectually delayed and reptiles has been a significant part of his life. I think that most intellectually delayed, and I say this with Michael all the time, like Michael tap into things that most people can't tap into. For example, he can hear any car go by and tell you what engine it is because he loves cars really, very much. And he's always there. So he couldn't read. We would always give him things and stuff like that. And he processes stuff like that. If you give him a cell phone that's broken, he can look at the motherboard and he can fix it. I don't know how. It's not where my brain goes. But I think because you have to connect, they have to connect with people in the world in ways non-verbally a lot, like especially with kids with autism. Most of their communication is non-verbal in the beginning. And so therefore they have to teach people what they're feeling and what they're saying with body language. And I think that snakes are the same way. Reptiles are the same way. Most of your interactions with them is body language, and it's very intellectual. We're reading them intellectually, they're reading us intellectually, and it just kind of like creates that neurodivergent bond when it comes to people who actually have those disabilities. Uncle Luke's favorite word. It was. Yep. So yeah, so I just think that if you're keeping, especially if you're keeping the bigger snakes, like I know most people don't, and you should handle your ball pythons that much to experience neurodivergency. Busy, who is a very highly intellectually progressed ball python, we talk about he doesn't really like care for other reptiles around his enclosure, and when they are around his enclosure, he's going to react. You're going to see him come out of his hide or whatever, and he wants to know what is it and why is it there. I think that's amazing that he can sense that right away. He's inside of a PVC enclosure, and outside of a PVC enclosure there's a snake, and he wants to know why it's there. I think that is one of the points that we look over when it comes to reptiles being able to use their brain. But definitely, do I think that we have special needs snakes? Absolutely. Do you ever have that snake that just do something absolutely stupid every single time it comes out or goes in the enclosure, and you say, why do you do that all the time? Dre, we can't hear you. He's having a whole conversation.
My bad. I said that's why I got a snake named Bobby Boucher. Homeboy missing a few up here. Something going on up there.
I definitely believe that. I mean, even when it comes to that snake that doesn't act like the other ones, we may not be able to identify what that disability is, but clearly it could be just something that's off about them. We just don't know how to identify it like we do in humans, because they're not trying to speak and we hear impediment. They're not trying to walk and we see a club leg. You know what I'm saying? Like there's things that we just would never be able to identify in them for sure.
I think one of the common denominators with like neurodivergence in people is like going against the grain. You don't really pay attention, or I know you pay attention to social norms, but you don't follow like the social norms. You kind of do what works for you. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the same case with the snakes, because I have 4 different retics. They're all going to do things completely differently. They're going to react differently. They're going to do what works best for them instead of going with what they're supposed to do, what they were like for thousands of years
supposed to do.
Right. Yes. Like, what's this one over here? If that doesn't work for me, then they're not going to do that. They're going to do what they feel is best for them. And that's one thing that I appreciate with all of mine. The individuality and all of their personalities. It's interesting to see.
And that's why I hate to hear people, especially like people who started with like the F1 generations of them say, all retics this, all retics that. No, all retics nothing. Nothing. Not one of them in this house are the same. And I guarantee you, not one of them in your breeding facility is the same. You just haven't figured it out because you don't handle them. You don't spend time with them. You don't document what they do. You just feed them and breed them. But for those of us who don't just feed and breed, we get to have these very phenomenal experiences with these animals, and we are able to watch them flourish in it. Like, I love watching Nikita move around the house like her mom and dad as a baby. Because she will have that ability always to find her way around that house because she's practicing it now. And what happens when they get older, the bigger retics can hurt themselves because if they're not familiar with their surroundings, they'll pull things down on them or climb up on things that can be very heavy, and they cannot put things onto themselves.
Yeah, that's strong as
right.
shit.
Nikita came in this house and she was like, "It's my house now. I run this. I run this ship. It's mine. Y'all can live here too." But it's
But yeah, I mean, I love that though, and I say that to anybody. But people will say, I think one of the things that hinders people from having those abilities is just what I said earlier, is that they'll see it but don't believe it. Like, oh, did that snake just do X, Y, and Z? It did. It did.
We see it every day on
I was
TikTok.
on live.
Like I said, we see it every day on TikTok. Like the last time I went live, somebody they're looking. I had my carpet out, and carpets are busy. They want to climb, they want to move, and this girl comes on there and was just like, "This ain't real because snakes don't even really move around like that." And I'm just like, well, number one, you can't generalize what all snakes are going to do because every species is different. Number two, of course, this came from a person that does not have snakes, but this is a perfect example of people will see something and still try to tell you that what I'm seeing isn't happening. So it
right. They don't. I saw something yesterday where it said people don't see the reality; they see their own personal reality.
Exactly, they see from their perception.
From
their own understanding. And that's why I learned to not take people serious. When it used to bother me when I first got into reptiles and people thought I was weird and like, oh my God, you have snakes, whatever. But now that I understand snakes more and I understand that humans are not the smartest, we're not the smartest species on the planet. We're not as smart as we claim to be.
Exactly.
So when you listen to what some people say and it's just like, damn, are you that stupid? You know what I'm saying? So it's like there is something that everybody in this world is uneducated about, but I will never go out in public and spew negativity about something that I haven't done my research on because I know what that looks like. So it does make me just kind of look at people sometimes like they just letting you run loose out in the world by yourself. It don't make sense.
I mean, even with that, like where people challenge you. I mean, I think it bothers me, Dre, when it's people who actually keep snakes though. And keep the same kinds. Like I can't stand when like I don't know if Morgan if it ever happens to you where I've gotten a message from, it is normally men in the retic community that will say, be careful. Have you ever seen that teeth? Yes, I see their teeth all the time because I can go in their mouth. Like, I don't know, what's your point? I see their teeth all the time. I'm not afraid of their teeth, or if I ever got bit, I'm not concerned, Mr. Man. I've been arms wrestling with a dog. I'm a little stronger than that.
A dog bite hurts worse. Like a Rottweiler bite hurts worse than a cottonmouth bite by far.
Yes,
listen, I'm not even trying to take a bite from a Jack Russell. You say
no, okay, well, I'll tell you something. Okay, so a Chihuahua bite hurts worse than a Rottweiler bite.
Yes, because Chihuahuas are the perfect example of neurodivergent.
Things are like, I don't know what kind of diagnosis they would be considered, but Chihuahuas are unhinged.
Terriers also have really any kind of terrier, a Yorkshire Terrier can have a bad bite too, because they still have that shaking process of every, like a pit bull terrier, and people take for granted because it's a smaller dog. A terrier is a terrier.
Facts.
Terrier is a terrier.
I'm terrified of Chihuahuas though. I ain't gonna care.
Uh-uh.
They're so unhinged. It's like that one little. It's like that one little unhinged, horny person in the family. And just like, bro, you need to chill. Something going on with you. Don't let him drink nothing. But
So yeah, I think that's pretty much wrapping up the topic.
go.
Just a
Gotta do a
reminder.
podcast.
First of all, I wanted to
Read a book.
share. I did my very first. Well, if you know, Hamburg is at a new location. So, Chris from BNS, thank you, Chris. Allowed me to take one of his tables this past week at Hamburg. And Hamburg is a show that I visited a lot, but in the last 2 years I had stopped going because it just got too crowded for me in the old venue. The new venue is huge. It is
I'm coming back.
so huge, and it was such a wonderful experience. And I love all of the policies and procedures that they have in place. So like I'll give you an example. Hamburg versus Gettysburg, from the vendor side, no one asks us to randomly hold a snake unless they're buying it. Whereas those Gettysburg, because it's a different type of show, you'll get a lot of kids who wants to hold snakes and stuff. But in Hamburg, it was just a whole different experience when it came to that. The vendors and their protocols and procedures were heightened and elevated for this particular show. I don't know about all shows and the people that I was actually working around, and it was just such a great experience to be on the other side. So experiencing Hamburg from the other side of the table in a bigger venue was great. And I know the venomous was still there. I don't know if they put all the venomous in the same section this time. I know they were there because you can see people buying them, but I didn't have to worry about nobody being next to me with Gaboon Vipers because that would have stressed me out. Or cobras because that would have stressed me out. Where I was, it was nothing but ball pythons and a couple retics, and I was great. I was fine with that. But it was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful show for us financially, for us physically. It went by really fast. The atmosphere was open. There was no funky, stinky smells or anything. It was a really, really great show.
Which location was that? That Hamburg?
Hamburg.
Well,
yeah.
So which one are you doing this weekend?
This weekend is Berryville. So Berryville, thank you, Morgan, is a brand new show that is hosted by the Maryland Reptile Farm, which is one of this channel's sponsors. That is in Fredericksburg, Virginia. This is the one that I will do every other month. This is the one that, regardless, I will be doing this show consistently. This is not too far from my home. I'm closer to, I'm not in the northern part of Maryland. I'm in southern Maryland, so I'm closer to Virginia than I am to the upper parts of Baltimore, any place like that. So anything that's in the northern Virginia area or below are normally target markets for me. I'm super excited to hit this Fredericksburg one because there's not a lot of shows or any in Fredericksburg. So I'm super excited for that. This will be the first show, so I'm sure it's going to be some learning curves for the show event itself. But Larry and Jason, his son, they do really good shows. And they're the longest. Maryland Reptile Farm is the longest running local show ever in the Maryland in the DMV area. They are the most established. So super excited for that. Someone asked me, how do I like doing shows? I love doing shows. I think Slim actually like doing them too. But it's always better when the venue is great and the promoters are very loving and caring. That's why I love Gettysburg. I think the promoters take really, really good care of the vendors throughout the year, making sure that, they're giving us what we need and making sure that they make any upgrades to traffic or promoting the shows and things like that so that the vendors get their best financial bang out of the show as well. So yeah, it was really great. And I was uneasy because, like I said, I had stopped going to Hamburg because it had gotten so congested. But the new venue is huge. It's so
Yeah, I
big.
saw the not this past weekend, but the first time where they had it at the new venue. I was like, well, that looks 10 times better
Oh, it's
than the
it's
last
it's
venue.
actually bigger than Gettysburg, surprisingly. So yeah, it's definitely better. I will. There was so many different animals, which was always the thing that we loved about Hamburg, is that the different types of species you can see there, and things like that. But honestly, we were so busy at our table, I didn't get a chance to walk around like I normally do. And thank God for that. I'm not complaining. And as of today, I have no more, because for all of you people who always say, I want one that look just like Chala, I want one that looks like Chala, but you never send your payments, they're gone. There's none. Shut up, Dre. There's none that look like Chala anymore. So because the way it works here, unless you put it on deposit, there is no holding of any animal for anyone. But yeah, she's gone, and it's so weird to like go and look in the rack and all of her twins, because out of all of her babies, she produced more of herself than anything. And it's weird just looking at the rack and she's not there, but she was the only. Chala, it's no reason for me to raise another female just like Chala, because I have Chala. So she was not, I never intended on holding any of those male or female Motley Golden Child Sunfires back, because when I breed Chala again, clearly she's going to produce more if I want more. I only asked for one in that clutch, and she ended up producing way more than that. So that was just great for me. But the girl who bought the last one reminded me so much of myself. Like, she was so in love with that snake the moment actually, she came back twice. Then on the third time, she literally had tears in her eyes. She wanted that snake so bad. And she just was short slightly, and we made it happen for her. But you can tell she's going to love on it. She was already in the car loving on the snake. I got a text message from her mom in the car. Like, she's all, here she is. She's so sweet. This, and this. So I just really enjoy that part, to make other people who, I was once that person on the other side of the table, and to make people dreams come true, to have their dream snake. Because for a lot of people, the Molly Golden Child Sunfire 4 years ago was a $5,000 snake, $3,500 snake, because it was still so rare then. But then the last few years, we were able to produce a little bit more. Jim produced more. Of course, Bob Clark produced quite a few of them. But for a long time, they didn't exist. So people still see that snake and like fall, especially when they see it in person. Like, there were so many people who had never seen one in Hamburg in person, and that was like a really cool thing. But this particular girl, she wanted that snake so bad, and I don't think she had any intents on leaving there with nothing else but that snake. And so I'm so glad, Ashley, if you're watching this, if you're seeing this, because I shared out info and the podcast and everything with you. Again, life is more important than price. And so I really, really love the fact that I know that baby is going to be loved on by you. Chihuahuas are the tweakers of the dog world.
Definitely.
Hi, HW. A snake's mouth is not designed for bite strength. It's only designed to grab. A dog has bite strength. Facts. And we say that a lot. Like, when people like, well, you're not scared it's going to bite you. Like, snakes don't just want to bite. They break their teeth when they bite. They don't want to just going around biting people.
I tell people all the time.
Exactly.
I just made a Facebook post about it, I think last week. People are so terrified of snakes. The real menaces are the fucking lizards.
Right.
Yeah, those guys are no joke. That's
right.
So my beaded lizard actually got me last week. I was changing his water, but he didn't envenomate me, which is good. But he got a nice little scrape on the side of my pinky. But if he would have got me, it'd have been over. It'd have been a bad day for me. Bad couple days.
Seriously, I think that odor was just trapped in the old building.
That, and then also I blame Nicole, because I remember when I told Nicole I had got a hotel out in Hamburg. She was like, "Joe, nobody stayed in Hamburg." Cool. What she didn't tell me was before you walk into the show, it's a cemetery right there. Nobody
You know
said
what?
nothing about
The
no
funny thing
cemetery.
is, I don't even pay that cemetery no mind because cemeteries don't bother me.
I
Like
walked through it.
they're normal. Right, it is a cemetery right there, though. No,
In
I just think
Amish
the
country, and I was
overload
just
got
like,
so hectic.
fuck. I was like, they thought this is
Morning,
like the
Maki.
perfect space for it.
Good morning, girl next door. All the retic babies are gone. No, I still have two that's available, but they're not Chala at all. But out of the entire clutch, it's only two, and hopefully those go to show. I'm taking them with those remaining two with me to Fredericksburg this weekend. But there's no more that looks like Chala for sure. None. Gotta get on my grind. Looks like 12 miles to hike today. Catch y'all next week. Woo!
Nice.
All right, Hugh. All right, and y'all don't forget. I am asking you guys to support me for my breast cancer walk this year, which is in August. So if you can donate, I can send you the link. I'll post the link again on Facebook and IG today. But yeah, my goal is 2,300, so I can qualify to enter the walk. And it's another 60-mile walk, but this time I'm doing it in Boston since I've never done the walk in Boston, and I think I'll give San Diego a break. But I'm coming back to San Diego with the walk next year. San Diego is it just makes walking the 60 miles so much better. But Boston is. Morgan's neighbor said she was creeped out that she had snakes in her house. She's got a normal pet, a little dog. Normal is so boring. But are dogs even normal? That's what another thing that people say. Like, what makes a dog normal? That's the fact that
They're not. We've just normalized them. That's all it
right,
is.
exactly.
Yeah, so it wasn't the neighbor specific. Her daughter, her little kid came up to me last night and was like, "My mama thinks you're weird." I was like, "Oh,
You know how to say it as a grown ass man. I'm like, it's a saying that we say, "Fuck them kids," okay?
Yeah.
Go on and do some
Okay,
homework.
so
Get out my face.
after that, I went in my backyard, and so I had Matilda outside in the back, and I was helping her shed. I took her shed out in the front yard and let it loose in the wind, right down to that neighbor's house. So I'm waiting for a post to be made in the HOA group to. I don't know. Now I just want to mess with this woman. That's it. He's so mad.
My cow retic is a normal. She pee all the time. I just ball some of that up, put it in the bag, put it on your porch. There you go. Merry Christmas.
Rock. Someone came fuck some things.
Hey.
No, but you know what, y'all? Like, I'm really big on well, you really can see way my yard is built. You can't, unless I take my snakes in the front yard, you can't see them. But I'm really big on not even like making my neighbors uncomfortable in that way, honestly. Because it can create so much more havoc for yourself. Like you dealing with like your HOA on whole different levels and stuff like that you don't want to have to deal with, whether you're right, whether they're legal or not. Your HOA can become like, you know,
a nightmare. Yeah. No, I'm not planning on staying here forever. I hate living in an HOA, but I don't take my snakes out. I don't take them out in the front yard. You know, I take them out in the backyard and stuff like that. And like I have kids. My kids go around, play with other kids. They talk about kind of stuff. My kids are like, yeah, we have pet snakes. So that's how like everyone in the neighborhood knows. And on top of it, like I relocate snakes for people. So everybody is aware that I have pet snakes. There's no hiding it. Like, you know, I can't hide it. But
I don't, for me, I just think that, and that's even with, and I said this before, like even taking them out into public, I hate to see people walking around in the store with a reptile. What you do is cause a whole bunch of unnecessary, like, dialogue behind it or whatever. But Morgan, I'm like you. My backyard is secured. It has a fence. So if anyone ever said anything, which both of my neighbors on both sides, they just mind their business.
See, yesterday I took Matilda out, the big one. I took her out, and in my backyard, one of my backyard neighbors they're on a hill. And I'm at the bottom of the hill, so they can see in my backyard. They had all their kids out yesterday, and I took Matilda out. And parents were like, all right, kids, we're going inside. But that's not going to, they were bothered that I had my snake out there, but that's not going to deter me from taking my animal out into my own backyard. You know, they complain about my dogs barking, and then I bring another animal out that's, you know, can't bark, and they complain about that too. It's not my problem that they are uncomfortable with the pets that I keep, and I'm not going to tiptoe around it just to try to.
Just double check your HOA bylaws, because I tell everybody the way that HOA plug the no reptiles in there is livestock, and reptiles fall under livestock in that clause. So always be conscious of that, because the thing is that you don't want to be challenged on them by it, because it can cost you more money than it's worth, honestly, to fight the law and fight the HOA. And then I just think that sometimes as reptile keepers, we have to just keep in mind that it's just like Darren said, if someone's dog comes up missing, the first thing that they're going to claim is that, oh, that lady with the big snake, if you know, my dog was eaten by the lady with the big snake. And if you cut your snake open, there's no dog there. Your dog just ran away. Just weird stuff like that I have seen. I'm fortunate where my neighbors couldn't see. We're far apart enough that they can't see my yard. Now my landscaper, he lives in the community. He knows we have snakes. He's been in the house and stuff like that. If someone wants to, like if my neighbor wants to come over and see them, that's, you know, that's fine. But when I'm in my yard, you can't even see in my yard. So that's where I don't take them out front, because I don't like to intimidate anybody. But I do take them out back, which I pay $11,000 for that fence in there. It is high enough that it doesn't, like the lady across from us, she has a little dog. She's not worried about the snakes, because she know that unless I let the snakes climb over the fence, which, you know, who does that? Because I'm out there with them, it's never going to be a problem. But I think that's why we got to continue to work with legislation, though, because I think what it is that our neighbors think they have the power, and because they can call and make a complaint, it can cause so many issues for us financially. So I'll give you an example. In some states, you're literally supposed to pay $75 to register each animal as a pet. So if your reptiles, like say we have 100 reptiles, right? Just use it as a number. The county can't cite us for having them, but they can say, oh, well, you have to register them all, which will cost you $75 per animal, which is $7,500, right? I ain't gonna be able to do that for y'all. No, I'm not gonna be able to do it. So I just try just to keep what I do to myself. It just makes it so much simple. I mean, when I say to myself, you know, we do social media. Like I said, the neighbors that I do deal with, you know, they know, but they kind of like mind their own damn business. I don't know what's going on in their house. The neighbors on the side have some type of, they're Asian. And I never seen Asians who turn up every weekend in the garage. I don't know what it is, but they have a great old time. I be wanting to come over. I don't be minding my business. I want to knock on the garage door, like, can I come over? Because y'all having a good time over here. But as a neighbor, we know that at that particular time of the day, we have our own garage and our own carport, but the street is going to be covered with their family members. Some people are bothered by that. I'm like, they're having a family event every week. I absolutely think it's amazing that they get together every weekend. People should mind I think Mikey said it. People should mind their business, but they don't.
Unfortunately, given the reputation snakes have, it's easier for them to complain and somebody come and see what it's about, because snakes have such a negative connotation with them.
Yes.
I'm so glad I don't have an HOA issue here.
On you, which is crazy.
Yeah, can't do an HOA. I'm glad I don't have that problem. I
have one, but they don't do it. I mean, they are more concerned about the aesthetics of the community. That's it.
Which is what I think they should be concerned about. A lot of these HOAs have way too much power.
Yeah, I don't even like. They don't. I don't go to none of the meetings. I don't do any of that. They only care about the aesthetics of the community. Like, so if when I put the fence up, I had to get it approved that the color of the fence. When I painted the deck, I had to get that approved. They don't get into like anything else. In fact, they can't legally. I can tell you what you're doing inside your home, and you're the homeowner. HOA can't do anything about that, but they have to address other people's complaints. So that's where it becomes an issue.
Right.
If they're addressing other people's complaints. But yeah, I don't. This one, like I said, sometimes I think they could actually do a little bit more, like around snow removal time and stuff like that. But the fact that, you know, like I said, they don't bother us much on anything. Like I've never got a citation for having a bucket on the deck. You know what I'm saying? You know how some of them be ridiculous or
Yeah, like we had so in like some of like the ritzier areas, their homeowners associations, if you're late on the bill, they're coming to knock on your door to see why you're late on the bill. Who the fuck are you? Mind your
Poppy,
damn
you don't
business.
have to have an HOA to have a home. Most
Yeah, you don't
homeowners
have
don't
to.
have
I
an
mean,
HOA.
I would look on like what that looks like in your state, but you don't have to live in an HOA.
Yeah, and actually most people, like I chose the HOA community because I like the fact that they do care about the aesthetics. So my neighborhood would never go down the drain as far as aesthetics. When you come around here, it look like Edward Scissorhands because they're gonna make sure that it looks like Edward Scissorhands.
Essentially, their job is to make sure that property value keep going up.
Right,
That's what
exactly.
they're basically
So
for,
that's
but
why it's
they have a lot more power.
Yeah,
I
it's
meant
the
like
ones that abuse the power. That's the problem. I really hate there's no safe place for us to live safely, comfortably, and without animals. But it is technically.
Also, just be mindful in what you're doing.
Yeah, I think sometimes we just so extra and want people to see them, and everybody don't want to see them. We have to understand that. Just like if someone has a lion or tiger, you know, everybody don't want to see that. Everybody, I don't think I would want a tiger. I would be uncomfortable with that. As much as I think they're beautiful, but yeah, I just think that as reptile keepers, even sometimes on social media, we be so extra about wanting people to see that we have them, and we neglect the fact that the care.
That's why,
you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, we'll get a
agree
whole
with
bunch
you.
of them so people can see that we have a bunch, but we're not caring for them.
I agree with you on taking them into stores because it's not only, you know, the backlash from the community, but also you open up your animals to so many germs and diseases when you take them to foreign places. Not think about it. I've seen so many people take their reptiles in the grocery stores. Grocery stores are cold as hell because they have groceries, and I don't think people understand that.
Not just that, snakes are not the cleanest. They ride over pee. You picked up a damn. When we go look for vegetables, we pick them up to pick the best vegetable. You got a damn snake around your hand. You down there touching vegetables, and the snake is gross. Like snakes don't belong in grocery stores.
I think people who think that we keep. People who know that we keep snakes and reptiles assume that we're not sanitary. You won't ever catch my reptiles in my kitchen on the dinner table because no, that's where I eat. That's where my daughter eats. These snakes don't need to be there. But I'm not. I think it's extra. Like there was a video on TikTok where this girl was going to get like she would go get some like pizza and she had a bearded dragon on her shoulder. For what? Why? And I don't think people understand
it's just
your reptiles still need that heat. They still need to be comfortable. Give them, as people like, well, you haven't been live because I want my reptiles to have a chance to just chill. I don't want to bother them right now. I just want to leave them alone, and I'm doing my thing. They're doing their thing. I'm just gonna give them a chance to chill because TikTok ain't paying my bills, so it's not something I have to. Oh my god, no! I just let them chill, let them do their thing, and I'll go live when I go live, and it's that simple.
Right.
One of these like teenagers came after me a couple months ago for how I keep my animals. Apparently I'm not doing a good enough job, but she was driving around with her bearded dragon on her dashboard. So she made a video of it. She was going like 85 miles an hour. Here's her bearded dragon on the dashboard of her car on the interstate. And I was like, you're going to come at me? You're putting your animal in danger. It's 25 degrees outside where you are. There's snow and you're speeding. Yep. But she only did that so she could drive around town and show off the animal just for attention.
That wouldn't bother me too much because one thing I've learned is
it's irritating.
It's stupid, but like you said, it's a kid. It's gonna sound cocky, but I don't take criticism from everybody. You just can't, unfortunately, because Sorry, I gotta get the little one dressed. But
So Anna, the reason being is because of the fire hazard. So once you start to get into keeping reptiles, it's a huge fire
did
hazard.
I lose signal or did she?
So that's why the insurance companies are that way. But they're like that about Rottweilers and Pit Bulls too. It was so hard when we bought this house to find homeowners insurance. We couldn't keep it with our existing insurance company because they did not allow you to have the Rottweiler on the insurance. But yeah, it's like that with some dogs too. But for the reason why they do it particularly to reptiles is because when we keep in reptiles, the risk of us burning our house down every day is there, y'all. Just FYI. Especially when we keep in multiple. Especially when we have them on heat panels and things like that that can have like what you call them spontaneous shorts and stuff like that. So thermostats help for sure, but it's definitely a fire hazard every single day that we're keeping reptiles, and that's why we have all these protocols in place to make sure that we're not burning nothing down. Can you live in a damn neighborhood without an HOA? Yes, but again, you want to weigh your options. HOAs are not all bad. You can live in a neighborhood without an HOA, and then you buy this house for $300,000-$400,000, and then your property value go down because the people next door to you have house doors painted ugly colors, windows falling off, broken blinds, tires in the front yard,
broken down cars
in the backyard.
Yeah,
right.
Dang, is that not having an HOA or the hood? Because I don't live in an HOA, and it ain't like that. You know
No,
what
but
I'm
you risk that every single time. When you live in any
Keeping your Christmas
like I can
lights up
tell
all
you,
year.
if you go down your street, nothing. You can have things that's not consistent. So that's my thing. My thing is I like neighborhoods that look nice and manicured. Like I like when
manicured for sure.
Shut up. When I come
I'm
down
sorry.
the street, everything looks nice, clean, and pristine. Grass must be cut because the HOA ain't going to have it. Your yard is not going to be unmanicured because the HOA is not going to allow it. I love that. For me, I don't want my neighbors to have high grass, and everybody don't cut their grass. So you got to weigh it because HOAs are not all bad, honestly. This is someone who's coming from the life in the world of property management. But you just got to make sure, check with neighbors. If you buy a house in a area where there's an HOA, you want to check with neighbors before you close in the house to see how the experiences with their HOA is.
Nicole, I think I found my favorite word that you say with your Baltimore accent. Manicure.
Shut up. Like a house, that's a real question. Daddy. I don't mean to showboat, but I like to see babies in the sun, and now I gotta keep them enclosed because somebody else is uncomfortable. I do that more than enough, but you can get the same natural light, Maki, in the house, like, or you can get them in the sun, maybe at a park. Drive to a park where it's more open or something like that.
I take mine to cemeteries. There's generally not any living people there. It's great. Generally, unless there's like a funeral, you don't want to be walking around with a wreath.
There's generally not any living people there. That's so funny.
Then I say fuck it. Like if you want to take your baby outside, take it outside. I'm not tiptoeing around my neighbor's feelings and uncomfortableness.
Yep. Thanks, Darren. Darren said this could be the next podcast topic. Rock, hell, I don't take my dogs in stores, grocery stores, or for humans. Yeah, I don't like dogs in grocery stores either. I understand that some people got them as emotional support, but keep them in a pouch or something. I don't
care. I don't care if it's ESA or not. When I go to a restaurant, I don't care. They need to have like a designated area in restaurants for that because I just think it's too much.
You're not supposed to. Like it's a health regulation in Mississippi. Maybe that's like the one thing.
But again, dogs have been so normalized that they think it's okay.
But it's against the law to take an animal inside a grocery store or a restaurant unless that is it's a outdoor restaurant.
In Mississippi, maybe. Here, no.
Do you think we articulated python is most aggressive? Absolutely not. The most aggressive snake that I have seen so far is officially the bull snake. The snake who thinks is a rattlesnake and it thinks is a king cobra at the same damn time. And it is very, very defensive.
I think the most aggressive snake is a human. Because they'll act like something that they're not. Snakes will always be true through and through.
I had pit bulls and snakes. I don't remember my insurance company even asking. Yeah, it's definitely a question that's asked. When you're buying a house anyway, if they don't typically ask when you're renting. But when you go to buy,
They're gonna want to know what kind of dog you have. If you got a trampoline,
yeah.
Yeah.
Kid, like they want to know. They want to know some stupid stuff, shit that
Yeah.
I wouldn't even think of.
Morgan, you
Lost
gonna
niggas.
dig in with the cemetery.
I've always loved cemeteries. They are so peaceful, especially like the abandoned ones where
Yeah,
there's
all
no
right.
living people whatsoever.
I ain't never in my life been like, you know what? I'm bored. I'm stressed. Let me go see some dead people's cat. Like, no, absolutely not.
HW, let me just tell you, y'all can say that's a bluff all y'all want. That's it's too much. That's too much extra
She said
sauce
that's
for
too
me.
much
Okay,
sauce.
too much sauce, and every last one of them, like, just it's just too much sauce for me. The whole like the I'm used to bluff, like that's a Burmese python, but the whole waggling the tail, like, what are you doing? What are you? Are you a bull snake or are you a cobra or are you a rattlesnake? We ain't doing this, sir. We
See,
not
ain't
doing
it
this.
funny
So yeah,
how
I would definitely say the bull snake head. They yeah, y'all can have those.
ain't it funny how most keepers who keep large snakes have that one little animal that you would never think of, and they're like, I don't mess with it. I don't mess with it.
And telling you, them bull snakes be something. But retics don't act nothing like that. And to answer the question, no, retics are very chill. They are specifically like the ones we keep, the people here. They're overly chill. I have baby ball pythons that strike more than, well, I can't even say more than,
So
that strike in my retic zone. So anytime I take my snakes, I get a lot of questions. Haven't really had people complaining yet. Rock, you take them outside of your home, or you mean when you're taking them out to parks and stuff like that?
Right. And so a lot of adults don't say anything to my face. I see it a lot on like Facebook, or people say, oh, in the neighborhood Facebook group, if it gets out, I'm gonna kill it. The main complaint I get is from kids. Now the kids love the snakes, but they, like the little girl last night, they will come to me and be like, my parents think you're weird. That, like, the kids are always telling me like what their parents are saying.
your dad's cheating on your mom. Who cares what your parents think? Leave me alone.
Your dad ain't really your daddy, honey.
Right.
Exactly.
So address that.
I've been banging
Right.
your mom about 27 years. Like, what you mean? Like, mind your business.
Sure. I just think that at the end of the day, it's all about just some people are not going to understand. But again, I flip it. I always flip it to the dog. As unnatural you think it is as us keeping reptiles, it is just as unnatural of you keeping a dog. In fact, dogs are much wilder
Not to, right? Because how many
than
people have we
a
seen with
snake.
dogs that they can't control out in public?
Yeah, so that's the difference, though, Rock. I believe that. So that's why we like to take out to the park too when we let them out, or we'll take them down to National Harbor, because those people don't live next to you, so they just have questions. They don't really care. But when you have your neighbors are the ones that typically it would be the ones that are resistant to it, because they're concerned about if the snake gets loose, will it come eat me, squeeze me, eat my animals and stuff like that. But that's why I love taking them out away from the house. I love that.
My
Yes, away
snakes.
from the house, you get a whole bunch of nice people with nice inquisitive questions, wanting to touch them for the first time and stuff like that. But those people have no worries because they know they're gonna let that snake ain't living next to them either.
I tell people all the time, my snakes don't eat trash. So stop asking me that.
Yeah, and
I'm
that's what
gonna say that next time. That's
I
pretty
know.
good.
Especially with when the smaller ones, I sit out on the porch with them a lot, with the smaller ones, but the big ones I normally just take out in the backyard, like I said. So no one, if someone ever said anything, it would be like, what are you worried about? Like, I'm right here, just like you're right there with your dog. Like, what are you worried about? Get out my face. But I've never had anyone approach me. That wouldn't be wise. I'm at work already, but I'm listening. What's up, Hannah? What's up, Hey, Ken? Yep, absolutely. All right, y'all. So that's a wrap for today. I hope everyone has a great weekend, a great week. That's what I'm going to do now that it's getting warmer. There's a park. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Take them to the park. Let them out. And then some people would say, "Are you worried about mites?" Unless there were snakes there with mites. Mites are not indigenous to they're from Central America. They're not from here. So the risk you do take is if someone else took their snakes to their park, and that's in a snake had mice, that could be a risk. But
listen, you want to hold my snake?
Typically, you don't have to worry about it. Most of my neighbors around my age, and they think they're cool, but I just limit the time I take them out around my neighborhood. Yeah, just to not have to deal with it. We're supposed to be going back down for Juneteenth again.
Put your cup.
Going back down where, Mikey?
Put your cup. All right, y'all. It's been real. I gotta take the little one to school.
All righty. We talk to you later, Jerae.
We're
about to wrap it up.
All right.
All right, everybody. Have a great one. I hope that you are going to have a fantastic week. Do something for yourself this week. Make sure that you're taking care of yourself, healthy. That you are focused on your goals. Let nothing deter you from them. And if you got to shut out social media to stay focused, do that. But yeah, stay focused, y'all. There's a place called the Jazz District in Kansas called 18th and Vine. Oh, okay. Oh, cool. That's pretty cool. All right, Morgan, you have a good one as well. Everybody have an amazing
too.
Appreciate you all.
Bye, guys. You'll have a good week.
We'll see you next week. Peace.
Boy. All right, go get dressed.
Why?
Because